Pool School. We are so glad that you're here. Let's get started. So we're going to cover quite a few things in this consumer school, honestly. We're going to talk about chemistry and, and how to properly take care of your pool, and we're going to teach you, how to protect the investment that you've made and make sure that you're able to keep swimming all summer long. Our main objective for today is to make sure that you are ready for a summer full of backyard memories. So we want to make sure your pool is always open, ready, clean and clear, and ready for you to enjoy. We're going to cover why BioGuard chemicals are the best chemicals for you to choose to do that. We're going to talk a little bit about pool anatomy, keys to pool care, how to balance your water properly, and then how to really maintain and take care of your pool using one of our pool care systems. We're going to cover all these things in a way that hopefully makes it easy for you to understand and takes away any sort of doubts or fear that you might have for taking care of your pool. Let's start with why BioGuard products. And really, we have to start with the people that you buy your chemicals from. Our BioGuard dealers are some of the most well-educated and most knowledgeable dealers that you will ever find in the industry. And we are proud to partner with them to get BioGuard products in your hands to take care of your pools. Our product line is technologically advanced, it's innovative. You'll find products in the BioGuard line that you won't find anywhere else. And these products are simply the best choice for you to be able to take care of your pool effectively and efficiently. Paired with that, we have our state-of-the-art water analysis, Alex. Most of you are probably familiar with Alex, but if you're not, it is our computer-based water analysis system that will provide you with an easy-to-follow, step-by-step outline of what you need to do to balance your pool, to solve a problem, or just to maintain it and keep it clean and clear. Can't possibly get any easier than step-by-step instructions on exactly what you need to do to take care of your pool. Our ultimate goal is to get you the right product in the right amount at the right time. And if we do that, you will have a summer full of wonderful memories in your swimming pool. Let's take a look at the anatomy of a pool. Now this graphic shows the anatomy of an in-ground pool, but honestly, above ground pools are going to have much of the same similar anatomy. So we can use this graphic really to talk about both systems interchangeably. So in order to start talking about an anatomy, we're going to start with the pump. Now the pump is the heartbeat of the pool plumbing system. It's responsible for pulling water out of the pool, and it does that through the skimmer and through the main drain. And then it's responsible for pushing water on the other side back through the system, through the filter and the heater and your chemical feeder if you have one, or your chlorine generator, and returning that water back to the pool. So before the pump, when it's pulling water out of the pool, we call that the suction side of the system. So on the suction side of the system, we are pulling water out of the skimmer as well as the main drain. Now, if you have an above ground pool, you probably don't have a main drain. You would pull all of your water through the skimmer. But if you have an in-ground pool, chances are you have both. Obviously, the main drain is pulling water off the bottom of the pool, and the skimmer is pulling water off the top of the pool. So you're getting a good mixture of water that you're pulling out of the pool, and it gets sucked through your plumbing and hits the pump. As it passes through the pump, you move on to the pressure side of the system. And the pressure side of the system is when the pump is pushing water through the rest of your equipment and back into the actual swimming pool. So first up is usually the filter. So it pushes water through the filter, and that could be a sand filter, a cartridge filter, a DE filter. But it pushes water through the filter, and as that water passes through the filter, dirt and debris get removed, the water's cleaner than it was, and it moves on into the rest of your plumbing. If you have a heater, that would come after the filter. Water's going to pass through the heater, get warmed up, and then once it passes through the heater, or if you don't have a heater, then you're going to pass through any sort of chemical treatment that you have as part of your plumbing. And that chemical treatment could be some sort of a feeder for your sanitizer, a chlorinator, or a brominator. It could be a chlorine generator if you have a salt pool. But any sort of chemical treatment would happen after the filter and after the heater. Once the water's been chemically treated, then the pump continues to push water through the system, and it comes back into the pool through the return lines that you see. And that's what you see as those eyeball looking things that kids like to play with in a pool and it's bringing water back in. Those are your return lines. So again, in-ground, above ground, much the same. Above grounds maybe don't have a main drain, but this is a pretty good layout to show you what typical pool anatomy is. So that's pool anatomy, and we're not going to spend a ton of time there. But the next thing we need to talk about is really how to care for the water that's inside your pool. And to do that, we want to talk about the 5 keys to pool care. And these are the 5 categories or areas of focus that you need to be aware of and you need to work on in your pool to make sure that it stays clean and clear. And the 5 keys are circulation, filtration, cleaning, chemistry, and testing. And if you address all 5 of those keys in your pool, that's how you end up with a pool that's clean and clear and it provides the environment that you're expecting. So let's dig a little bit deeper into each one of the keys. The first key to pool care that we're going to talk about is circulation. And circulation is simply just moving water through the plumbing system and through your filtration system, all that in your pool. So you're just moving water through the pool. When your pump is running, you're circulating the water. Now we want your pump running a minimum of 10 to 12 hours a day. Ideally, you would run it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And if you're troubleshooting something, cloudy water, algae, something along those lines, then you definitely want to be running it 24 hours a day. However, if you're just doing normal pool maintenance, a minimum of 10 to 12 hours a day is fine for filtering your pool effectively and moving the water around the way that you should. So when you're moving water and you're circulating water in your pool, you want it to turn over. And one turnover in a residential pool takes about 6 hours. And that means in 6 hours, you're going to move the entire volume of water that's in your pool through your pump and filter. If you have a 10,000 gallon pool, you're going to move 10,000 gallons of water through your pump and filter in one turnover, 6 hours. However, you might pass the same water through the pump and filter 3 times to get to that 10,000 gallons, as opposed to actually putting all of the water through the system. So we have found that in one turnover, 6 hours of pump runtime, you're really only filtering about 42% of your water. So that leaves 58% of your water that's unfiltered. It still has dirt and debris in it, and it hasn't passed through any of your chemical treatment systems, such as your feeder, your chlorine generator, whatever you might have on your system. So we haven't very effectively treated the water at that point. Now, if you go to 2 turnovers, that would be 12 hours of pump runtime. You go from filtering 42% of your water to filtering 84% of your water. 84% much better. So you're filtering a lot more dirt and debris out of the water. You're chemically treating more of the water as it passes through your system. And overall, your water is going to be more clear. It's going to have an easier time staying clear. You'll have an easier time balancing because you're filtering so much more water just by running 12 hours a day as opposed to 6. So 84%, that's pretty good. You're going to be able to keep your pool fairly clean and clear at that point. If you turn over 3 times, you run your pump and filter 18 hours, you're going to filter 95% of the water. If you're running 24/7, you're going to filter 98% of the water. You never quite get to 100%, and that's because of dead spots. And dead spots are places where water is there, but it just doesn't circulate very well. So you find dead spots under your ladder, under your diving board, and in your corners, things like that. So there's always a little bit of water that's not being circulated, no matter how long you run your pump and filter. But if you're running 24 hours a day, filtering 98% of the water in your pool is pretty good. Now, as your water passes through the circulation system, it is returned back to the pool through the return jet. And you can see a picture of a return jet here. Return jets are funny because they shoot water out into the pool with quite a bit of force, and kids love them. They like to play with them. They like to get in front of them, feel it hit their back, move them around. Their favorite thing to do is to point it up so it makes kind of a rippling motion or almost a waterfall that's coming across the surface of the water. They have a lot of fun moving them around. But ideally, these return jets are positioned pointing down towards the bottom of the pool and angled 45 degrees either to the right or to the left, depending on whatever your preference is. And that's going to help circulate your water the best. When you point them up and you let them skate over the surface, you're not filtering or circulating your water the way you're supposed to. So ideally, those jets get pointed down, they get turned to the right or the left 45 degrees, and that's going to circulate your water the best. The second key to pool care is filtration. Now, filtration is tied to your circulation system. So these 2 keys, you can't have one of them without the other. If you're not moving your water, you can't filter it. And if your filter is not working properly, then there's really no point in moving your water around. So filtration and circulation are certainly tied together. The purpose of your filter is to remove stuff, and I say stuff meaning garbage, dirt, debris, all that stuff that gets built up in your pool water just from using it. The purpose of the filter is to remove that dirt and debris from the water. It will help keep the water clear, and the less stuff that gets in the way of your products that you're putting in the pool will help those products work more effectively. So we want to be filtering, we want to be physically removing as much dirt and debris as we can from the pool. That leaves less dirt and debris behind for your chlorine to have to deal with, or for you to have to try to oxidize or shock and get out of the pool. So we want to physically remove as much dirt and debris as we can, and that's what we rely on our filter for. So there's 3 different types of filters. We're not going to go into those right now. Some of you probably have a sand filter, you might possibly have a cartridge filter, or maybe even a DE filter, regardless of the type of filter you have. And the upkeep is a little bit different on each one of them. But regardless of the type of filter that you have, you do need to clean it periodically. There's 2 different types of cleaning for a filter. One is just your routine backwashing or rinsing. You do this periodically when your filter gets a little bit gummed up. In a sand filter, there's a backwash function where you reverse the water flow through the sand and blow out all the dirt and debris, and you remove it from the pool in a backwash line. For a cartridge filter, you pull out the cartridge and just hose it off with a garden hose. Never a pressure washer, that will damage your filter, so never use a pressure washer around your pool. For a DE filter, you do something called bumping to clean up the DE a little bit. But regardless of which one it is, you're going to periodically do just kind of a light cleaning or a routine cleaning on the filter itself. And then a couple of times a season, you're going to want to do a chemical clean of your filter. And to do that, you're going to use products called Strip Quick and Clean It. And these are 2 very different products, but when you use them together, one after the other, you will get a deep clean of your filter. And I get a lot of people ask me, like, why do I need to deep clean my filter? I rinse it off all the time. It looks just fine. Why do I need to deep clean it? And here's kind of what I say. If you go outside and you work in your garden all day long, right? You've been outside, you've been sweaty, you had your hands in the dirt, you come inside after a long day of gardening and you're dirty, right? You've got dirt and debris on your skin and on your clothes. So you get in the shower. If you get in the shower and you rinse off and you step back out of the shower, are you cleaner than when you started? Yeah, you are. You rinsed off the surface dirt and debris that was on your skin, and you are cleaner than when you started. However, are you truly clean? No, you're not, right? In order to truly be clean, you need to use some shampoo in your hair and some soap on your body to get the next layer of dirt and debris off so that you're truly clean. And that's what chemically cleaning your filter is. You're taking the next layer of dirt and debris off with a chemical. So basically you're shampooing your filter. You do it a couple times a season and it will help your filter run much more efficiently and effectively. So make sure that's something you're doing when you're told it's time to chemically clean your filter. It's definitely something you want to do. Also, after troubleshooting, if you've had an algae problem, cloudy water, you've used a clarifier, something along those lines, a lot of times you'll be asked to chemically clean with one or the other of these products, depending on what kind of problem you just dealt with. So sometimes we do follow up troubleshooting with this just to remove the last remnants of whatever caused the problem. Now, one thing that you can do to make your filter gum up less or keep it a little bit cleaner for longer is use something called the Skimore. Now, the Skimore is a blue, it's like a nylon sock, kind of looks like pantyhose. I wouldn't suggest you putting it over your head if you're going to go rob a bank because it tastes terrible. But what the Skimore does is it stretches out over the skimmer, and you can see that here in this picture, but it stretches out over the skimmer, and it provides another layer of defense. So it adds another layer of filtration. So the sock will physically catch a lot of pine needles and leaves and smaller stuff that might otherwise go through the skimmer basket, but gets caught in the Skimore. Pollen will get caught there. There's a lot of things that will get caught in the Skimore that will never make it to your sand filter or your cartridge filter. So you have to clean less and you don't have as many problems with your filter. Another cool thing about Skimore is it's treated with something called Miselex. And what Miselex does is it absorbs greases and oils. It's actually the same type of chemical they would use if they had an oil spill in the ocean to soak up all the oil that's floating in the water. So this Miselex will attract greases and oils that would otherwise pass through your skimmer basket and get caught on your filter, causing it to clog up faster. You have to rinse it more often or chemically clean it more often. So that Mistel-X will catch a lot of those greases and oils and keep them from ever making it to your filter. Great to use during pollen season, but honestly really good to use all year round just to help protect your filter a little bit more. Now, if you're feeding chlorine through your skimmer for your sanitizer, simply put it underneath the skimmer and put the skimmer over the top of it. You don't want to place the chlorine inside the skimmer sock. The third key to pool care is cleaning, and cleaning can encompass a lot of different things. It includes vacuuming your pool and brushing the walls and skimming off the dirt and debris. So there's a couple of different products that we have that can help you with. First of all, you want to vacuum your pool once a week for sure, and you want to brush the walls of your pool once a week. I get a lot of people that say, I don't brush my pool very often because it doesn't need it. And I'll say, how come you know it doesn't need it? And they say, I don't see anything on the walls or the surface. And I ask those people this, have you ever gone through a day where you've eaten something, maybe early in the day, and it leaves a film on your teeth? And as your day goes on, you start to get, and I like to call them little sweaters on your teeth. You can feel them on your teeth. They feel bad. You've got stuff building up, and you really need to brush your teeth to get rid of it. But as the day goes on, that gets worse and worse, and you haven't had a chance to brush your teeth yet. If you smiled at someone nice and big, they're not going to be able to see those sweaters on your teeth, but you can feel them and you know they are there and you need to brush them off. It's the same thing with the walls of your pool. You may not be able to see what's building up on the walls of your pool, but it's there and you do need to brush at least once a week in order to keep it brushed off, circulating in the pool, can go through the filter, be chemically treated, all that sort of stuff. So brushing your pool at least once a week is definitely something you need to do, whether it looks like it needs it or not. Now we have a couple products that are associated with key number 3, cleaning. First of all is our off the wall product. And what off the wall does is you can put it on your pool brush or you can squirt it directly on the wall of your pool, but it's great at getting rid of that water line accumulation, that stuff that gets built up right where your water ends on the wall of your pool. So it's kind of a soap type of thing that will help loosen that dirt and debris and help you get it off the pool wall and get it back into the water where you can get it with the filter or your chemical treatments. So off the wall just helps that. It helps make it easier to get that stuff off the surface. You can also use it in spas. If you have a spa, you can use it to wipe down your spa surface. Do not use something like a household cleaner that's not made for swimming pools to clean the walls of your pool. It will cause a lot of problems with your chemicals and it will hurt the balance of your pool. So stick to something like off the wall, which is made to go into the pool and not hurt the chemistry at all. The other product we have that we would consider a cleaner is our Stowaway. And what Stowaway does is it helps you store your covers. So in the winter, you want to store your summer cover. In the summer, you want to store your winter cover. And what Stowaway does is it lets you put those covers away while they're still wet. I don't know how many of you have ever stretched out a solar cover on your lawn to let it dry out before you put it away, and you end up with dead grass underneath it, right? Because it had to lay there so long. With Stowaway, as you're folding up that cover, you just put a little bit of Stowaway in all the creases and you can roll it right up wet, put it away, and it won't hurt it at all. It also helps keep mice and things like that out of the cover. So definitely a good thing to do when you're storing either your summer or your winter cover. And you can also rub down your patio furniture, things like that, and that stuff that gets that black mold on it while you store it in the winter. You can wipe that down with Stowaway and that black mold won't happen. So 2 good cleaning products just help make things easier for you. So let's take just a minute to recap where we are. We've talked about 3 of the 5 keys so far: circulation, filtration, and cleaning. Remember that circulation is how you're moving the water through your system, your plumbing, your filter, all of that stuff. The filter's job is to remove as much dirt and debris as you possibly can. We're going to run that filter for a minimum of 10 to 12 hours a day, but 24 hours a day is definitely ideal for that. And finally, we talked about cleaning. You clean your filter backwashing regularly, chemically cleaning a couple of times a season, as well as brushing your pool surface and running your vacuum. So that's kind of where we are at this point. Let's move on to some chemistry. Before we can really dig into chemistry, we have to talk about key number 4, which is testing. Testing is a vital part of adding chemicals to your pool. You need to know what chemicals you need and how much you need to add. So testing is a vital part of that. We need to talk just a little bit about what makes a good water sample. If you're going to test your water, you need to go elbow deep into the pool to get a water sample, away from your return jets. You don't want to grab water that comes from right in front of the return jet because it's been chemically treated and it will skew your results a little bit. So elbow deep away from your return jet. You can test at home periodically. You should test at home periodically, maybe once or twice a week, just to make sure that you've got chlorine in the water and everything looks okay. But then we recommend at least at a minimum of once a month, you bring your water into your dealer in order to have it professionally tested with our Alex water testing software. That will give you a deep dive into what's going on with your pool, and it will give you the best prescription for what needs to happen in order to keep that pool well balanced. Why do we balance our pools? It's important for a lot of different reasons. The first reason being you want your swimmers to be comfortable. So while people are using the pool, you want to make sure their eyes don't hurt and their skin doesn't get itchy and things along those lines. But on top of that, you also are trying to protect your equipment. You don't want to have to replace equipment often because your water balance, it caused damage to it. You can see in this top picture here, that's actually the inside of a heater that got eaten up because the pH in the pool was too low. That's a lot of damage, an expensive part to fix, and it simply could have been avoided if you balance the pool and keep the pH where it's supposed to be. Water balance also contributes to water clarity and how effective your chlorine is that you're putting into the pool. So lots of good reasons why we want to keep water balanced, which leads us back to why we test our water so often. To talk about water balance, we talk about some very specific water balance parameters. pH, alkalinity, calcium hardness, those are the big three that we're going to talk about balancing, why we balance them and why they're important. If you pair that with total dissolved solids, which is just how much stuff that gets left behind in your pool, it all factors into something called the saturation index. Now we're not going to dig into any great detail in here, but what that means is your pH, your alkalinity, and your calcium hardness all work together to make sure that your pool is neither corrosive or scale forming. We want it to be neutral, we want it to be balanced, and we want it to stay clean and clear. And these are the factors that contribute to that. Let's start with a look at pH. So pH is important for a couple of different reasons. One, if your pH is out of balance, your chlorine doesn't work as well as it should. So we want to make sure your chlorine is as efficient as it should be. The other thing about pH is it can really affect the comfort of your swimmers. Your eyes can get red, things along those lines if the pH is out of balance. Have you ever seen a kid that's been in the pool all day long? He's been swimming around, diving for whatever kids dive for these days. I used to dive for pennies, but now it's some sort of GPS-enabled dive stick or something along those lines. But you see a kid that's been in the pool all day, probably swimming with his eyes open, and he gets out and he looks at you and his eyes are bright red. You think, wow, the chlorine did that. 9 times out of 10, 99 times out of 100, it's the pH that causes that problem. So it's definitely something we want to keep well balanced. The bad thing about pH is, if you say what causes pH to change in a pool, the short answer is everything can cause pH to change in a pool. So that makes it a little more difficult to keep it balanced and in the range we want it to be in. In order to keep pH where we want it to be, because we want our swimmers to be comfortable and our equipment to be protected, we rely on something called total alkalinity. And what total alkalinity does, its only job is to buffer or help balance the pH. So all the things that would otherwise cause pH to change, rain, swimmers, chemicals, algae growth, whatever that might be, total alkalinity absorbs the impact of that. So things that would, if they were able to, cause pH to bounce all over the place and cause you a problem with water balance, the total alkalinity absorbs all of that. pH stays the same. Alkalinity gets eaten up a little bit in the process, but your pH stays where you want it to be. So if you're balancing your total alkalinity the way you should be, keeping an eye on it, then that is what's helping keep your pH where it's supposed to be. The best analogy I can give for that is like shocks on a car. If you've ever gone down a bumpy road in a car that doesn't have good shock absorbers, you know how it feels. You bounce all over the place, it hurts your back. It's a very uncomfortable ride. If you go down the same road with a car that has really good shock absorbers, you're on the same road, it has the same bumps, but the ride is a lot more even, it's a lot smoother, and you don't bounce all over the place. So total alkalinity is like shock absorbers for a car. It keeps pH from bouncing all over this place. All the same contaminants are coming in, all the same things are entering the water that could impact the pH, but instead of the pH being impossible to balance, the total alkalinity absorbs all of the bumps that come from that, and the pH stays where it's supposed to. If for some reason your alkalinity or your pH is out of balance, it's too high, it's too low, whatever might happen, BioGuard offers a whole line of balancing chemicals. If you have your water tested through Alex, Alex will give you very specific amounts of each chemical that's needed and how to add it to the pool. So just know that if something does get out of balance, it's easy enough to fix it and get your pool back to where it's supposed to be. The third balancing parameter that we need to look at, we've looked at pH, we've looked at alkalinity. Now let's talk a little bit about calcium. Calcium is really important in water balance, but it's not something that you have to balance very often. So it's important to know what your calcium reading is. If it's too low, you'll see a lot of damage that can happen to pool surfaces. You can see on the left-hand side there, that's actually a plaster surface that the plaster is being eaten away because there's not enough calcium in the water, and the water's looking to get some more calcium, and it's finding it in the surface of the pool. On the right-hand side, that pool probably has too much calcium in it. Water cannot hold on to it, so it's letting go of the excess calcium and causing cloudy water. So both of these reasons, low and high calcium, are why we want to take a look at what the calcium hardness reading is and make sure that it stays balanced. So one thing is very important. If you have too much calcium in the water, you cannot remove it. It's stuck in there. You have to deal with it. But we have products that will help you keep cloudy water from happening and keep your pool clean and clear. So in order to balance your calcium hardness, you've got two options. If it's too low, you're going to add a product called Balance Pack 300. And again, Alex is going to tell you exactly how much of that you need to add. If the calcium level is too high, you're going to add a product called Scale Inhibitor. And Scale Inhibitor is something that you would add once a month in order to go in, hold on to the excess calcium, and keep it from falling out of solution and causing your water to be cloudy. So we definitely want to keep excess calcium in solution. You can see the filters that are in this on this slide. The filter to the left is in a pool that has too much calcium in it, and it's not staying in solution. So it's depositing on the filter, it's causing a problem, and eventually this is going to lead to reduced filtration, cloudy water, and a lot of other issues. So the scale inhibitor doesn't remove the calcium, but it hangs on to it so it can't fall out of solution and cause problems. So calcium too low, you're adding Balance Pack 300 according to Alex's instructions. Calcium too high, you're adding scale inhibitor on a monthly basis in order to hang on to that calcium and keep it from causing a problem. Since we've been talking about water balance and kind of what that can do to the quality of your water, let's take just a minute to talk about cloudy water. Cloudy water is probably the most common issue that pool owners run into. There's a lot of different reasons why water can turn cloudy. Your filter's not working properly, your water's out of balance, etc. You don't have enough sanitizer. So there's a lot of different reasons why water can turn cloudy, but it's usually pretty easy to clear it up. These two products, Polysheen Blue and Natural Clarifier, are great additions to your pool in order to clear up a cloudy water problem. Or you can use them as a maintenance product once a week in order to help keep your water from going cloudy if you did have some sort of an issue. So they're two different products. They do kind of the same thing. They're both called water clarifiers. And basically what they do is they take small particles that are in your pool that might otherwise pass through your filter, and they clump them together into bigger particles, bigger molecules, bigger clumps of dirt and debris, so that instead of passing through the filter, then the dirt and debris gets stuck on the filter. So you're physically removing contamination and things that could cause cloudy water if they were left unchecked in the water, and you're using these products to help get that dirt and debris out more effectively. So Natural Clarifier and Polysheen Blue, they're very different products. They work in different ways, but the end result is basically the same. Take smaller particles, clumps them into bigger particles so that your filter can then physically remove what's causing the water to be cloudy. Another water balance parameter to consider is the phosphate level in your pool. High phosphate levels will lead to problems keeping your water clear, and it leads to just increased overall maintenance. It takes more chemicals to accomplish what you're trying to accomplish when your phosphate level is high in the pool. Removing phosphates periodically will make your maintenance easier, and it'll make all of your chemicals more effective. Now this is something that Alex is going to test for you and then give you a recommendation for removing phosphates if necessary. Pool tonic is a really good phosphate remover. So if you get a recommendation for phosphates to be removed from your pool, it's very likely that Pool Tonic is the product that you'll be using. Just a note, when you first put that in, you will see your pool cloud a little bit as the product starts to do its job. It clears up very quickly, but you'll see that it clouds just temporarily while the Pool Tonic starts to remove the phosphates. In addition from removing phosphate from the pool, Pool Tonic's also really good at removing pollution and pollen, dirt, dust, skin oil, greases, lotions, all sorts of things that could otherwise cause your pool to become cloudy. It's really good at removing pet dander, and if any of you allow your dogs to swim in your pool, one dog is equal to about 50 human swimmers. Now, we're not saying don't let them in there. Dogs love to swim, or some dogs do anyway, and it's perfectly fine to let them swim in your pool. Just be aware that you are going to have a bit of a higher bather load, more contaminants being introduced to the pool, and a product like Pool Tonic can go a long way to help remove those contaminants and keep your pool clean and clear. So just a quick review, the 5 keys to pool care: circulation, filtration, cleaning, testing, and chemistry. Those are the 5 keys to pool care, and those are the things that we want to take a look at as we're trying to balance our pool. They're important because that's what keeps the pool clean and clear, protects your equipment, and keeps everything functioning the way it's supposed to. So let's take a little bit of a deeper look at some of the programs associated with pool chemistry. In the pool industry, we like to say an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of chlorine. But really what we're saying is routine maintenance and getting on a schedule with your pool will stop you from having a lot of problems as you move throughout the summer. You want to avoid algae and cloudy water and all those sorts of things. And being on a routine or on a system of pool care will help you do that. So BioGuard has created a program that it's as easy as 1, 2, 3. It's a 3-step care system that if you follow these steps, you are well on your way to having a clean and clear pool. Step number 1 is always sanitize the pool to kill bacteria. Step number 2 is to oxidize to help keep your water clear. Sometimes that's also called shocking your pool. And step number 3 is preventing algae. Now you can do this in a lot of different ways. We're going to talk a little bit about what the options are, whether it's chlorine or salt or some other options that you have. But the key is to get on a schedule, to follow the system, and if you're routinely doing what you're supposed to do to take care of your pool, you eliminate a lot of problems. Let's look at the different steps and really what they accomplish in a pool. Step 1 is sanitizing, and we need to look at why is step 1 important. It's probably the most important step in your pool care program. The point of sanitizing the pool is to kill bacteria and algae, and we're doing that so that we can protect our swimmers from disease, keep them healthy, keep them safely swimming in the water, and we're keeping that water clean and clear. So in your pool, your sanitizer residual should always be between 1 and 4 parts per million. There's a couple different ways we can accomplish that. We're going to take a look at that. The importance of step 1 is to kill bacteria, and the premium BioGuard product to do that is our SiltGuard Complete sticks or tabs. So these sticks and tabs, you can choose which version of the product that you want, but they're ideal for use in any feeder, floater, or skimmer application. So you can pretty much use them anywhere you like in order to sanitize the pool. So there's some really cool things about these tabs. First of all, they sanitize, right? Because they have chlorine in them and they will kill bacteria. But in addition to that, they also contain SiltGuard technology. And what SiltGuard technology does is it actually softens the water in the pool. So you can feel a difference on your skin and in your hair after swimming in a pool that has SiltGuard technology added to it. In addition, SiltGuard technology also helps protect equipment, keep scale from building up, and basically just adds another layer of protection to your pool. In addition, our SiltGuard Complete products contain SmartGuard technology. And what SmartGuard technology does is it helps them last longer in the swimming pool. So you don't have to add them as often. You can maintain your pool a little less as far as how many times a week you might have to touch it, but that SmartGuard technology will help them last longer in your pool. So not only are we sanitizing, we're actually softening the water, we're protecting equipment, we're making the sticks or tablets last longer, And we have some algae prevention blended into the SiltGuard Complete product also. So it's a good all-around, all-purpose, premium sanitizer product for you to be adding to the pool. In addition, we offer it in both tabs and stick technology. Now, tabs sometimes are the best shape to be putting in feeders and floaters, etc., but the stick technology actually lasts even longer than a tab does. So depending on what you're looking for, if you want the longest lasting version of SiltGuard Complete, you would want the stick, but if you're just trying to fill a particular feeder or floater, you might choose the tab instead. Either way, the formula is the same. You get all the benefits of SiltGuard and SmartGuard technology, regardless of if you're using sticks or tabs. Step 1 of your pool care program is sanitizing, but step 2 is shocking your pool or oxidizing your pool. And we need to take a minute to talk about why step 2 is important. A lot of times people will get a little bit confused and say, I'm already putting chlorine in my pool, so why would I need to put more chlorine in my pool in order to shock or oxidize the pool? And it's a little bit of a different situation. Shocking the pool goes in and it removes contaminants. It can remove combined chlorine or chloramines that form while your chlorine is doing its job, but it helps keep the water clear. So an analogy I like to use is where I grew up, we had to burn our garbage. We didn't have trash pickup, and I had a lot of brothers and sisters, so we had to burn our garbage. And burning the garbage every day, because there was a lot of garbage, was kind of like sanitizing your pool. It's something that you do all the time in order to keep garbage from building up and keep you from getting sick, keep disease from occurring and bad smells, etc., etc. So burning the garbage every day is like sanitizing your pool constantly. You're constantly feeding in sticks or tabs or some source of chlorine in order to kill bacteria. Now, if anybody has ever relied on burning your garbage to get rid of it, you know that once you're done burning the garbage, what gets left behind? Ashes, right? And if you don't do anything with the ashes that get left behind, eventually they build up to the point where they cause their own set of problems, and they look bad and they smell bad, and they can cause, problems with disease, etc. So oxidizing the pool is like sweeping up the ashes. It's not something you do every day. We do it once a week in swimming pools. But it goes in behind your sanitizer and finishes cleaning up what the sanitizer is busy doing all the time. So it goes in, it chemically changes the way contaminants are existing in the pool, and it lets you remove them either through the filter or through gassing off or through any other number of ways that you can get contaminants out of the pool. So sanitizing happens all the time. Oxidizing happens periodically. We say once a week is ideal for oxidizing, to go in and just finish the cleanup process from what sanitizing is doing, helps keep your water clear, and helps prevent problems before they get started in the pool. So the premium product used to shock the pool or oxidize the pool is our BioGuard Smart Shock. And our BioGuard Smart Shock has a lot of cool features to it. It does oxidize the pool, so it sweeps up the ashes like we talked about. It also contains a clarifier to help keep the water clear, a buffer so it doesn't mess with your pH too much when you put it in there. We blended in a little bit of an algae killing crystal to give you just a little bit of an extra boost to preventing algae from occurring in the pool. But one of the coolest features of this product is the fact that you can shock and swim in as soon as 15 minutes. So anybody that has kids at home that are wanting to get in the pool, you know that if you put in some of the other shocks that are out there, your pool might have to be closed down for up to 12 to 24 hours, depending on how high your chlorine level goes and how long it takes to come back down to a safe level for swimming. So with Smart Shock, you put it in, it does its job, it oxidizes what it needs to, it removes the contaminants, and you can swim in as soon as 15 minutes. So it's very simple to do, very simple to add, it dissolves very quickly, and your kids can get right back in the pool and start swimming very quickly. So step number 2, Smart Shock is the premium product in order to shock your pool and help keep it clean and clear. Step 3 in the 3-step system is preventing algae. And the importance of step 3 is algae is constantly being introduced into the pool environment. It comes in via the rain, wind, runoff. There's a lot of different ways that algae spores get introduced into the pool water. So routine application of an algicide will help prevent algae growth before it becomes a problem, before it turns your pool green, before it becomes what we call an algae bloom. Algae bloom is one of the things customers are most afraid of happening in their pool. You ask, a new homeowner or a new pool owner, what are you worried about with your pool? I don't want it to turn green. And that's one of the things that they focus on the most of being afraid of is algae growing in the pool. So step 3 becomes a very important part of meeting the customer's expectations. A couple of things about algicide that we lose track of sometimes is when you're adding an algicide, most of them start with an initial dose and then you're following up with a weekly dose. So you want to make sure you hit that initial dose in the beginning. That's so that you make sure you establish a bank of algicide that you can pull from. So you use that initial dose in the beginning and then you transition to a weekly dose in order to just keep topping up the levels and make sure you're doing your best to prevent algae from growing. If for some reason you do have an algae issue and algae starts to grow, then you would need to reestablish or reapply your initial dose once that problem has been solved before you go back to your weekly dose of algicide. So let's take a look at BioGuard's premium algicide. BioGuard offers a couple of different options for step 3, preventing algae. Our best and most technologically advanced algicide is our Algae Complete. It's the strongest algicide we have. It's a combination of algae killing technologies from a couple of different types of algicides. So it takes all the good things from Banish and all the good things from Backup and puts it in the same bottle and makes our most complete, our most effective algicide. But we have some other options also. Backup 2 has been a tried and true algae preventative for a lot of years with the BioGuard brand, and it still works great. Now it can foam a little bit, so it's not something you want to use if you have an attached spa or a water feature or anything along those lines. But as far as a weekly maintenance, weekly algae preventative, Backup 2 still works great in order to prevent a problem from happening. Now Banish is kind of known as a troubleshooting algicide, one that can take care of problems. It can be used as maintenance, but for the most part, it is being used as a treatment. You've already got an algae problem, your pool's turned green, add some Banish, it'll take care of it. And you can certainly still use Banish that way. But Algae Complete can be used for both. Algae Complete is labeled as a weekly maintenance product, so you add smaller amounts every week to keep algae from occurring. And then if something happens, for some reason your pool does turn green, you do have an algae problem, Algae Complete is also the best option we have for treatment. So it's a good all-purpose, multi-purpose algicide. But any of these 3 products will meet the need to take care of step 3 in swimming pools, which is preventing algae. We talked about the 3 steps of basic pool care. Step 1, sanitize, step 2, oxidize, and step 3, prevent algae. But you can add an extra step or an extra product that will do a lot to enhance your water quality and improve your overall experience with your pool. So let's take a look at a couple of the options that you can use for that enhanced water quality. The first product to consider as a water enhancer is BioGuard Pool Complete. BioGuard Pool Complete is a weekly product that you add. It's a maintenance product, so you're not trying to troubleshoot or anything with it, but it's a product you add weekly that will help keep your water amazingly clear. See your water in high definition is kind of the tagline we use for Pool Complete because it takes water that you may have thought was clear and it takes it to a whole nother level. So it makes your water amazingly clear. At the same time, it takes away that waterline accumulation that you've all seen. You look at the side of your pool, especially in the spring or in the fall when you get a lot of organic stuff falling into your pool and you see that line or that discoloration at your waterline. Pool Complete will help keep that from happening. And then the third thing that it does is it actually removes contaminants from the water. So it removes phosphates and other contaminants that can overall take away from your water quality, make your water look dull or cause problems with balance, etc. So it's kind of a 3-part product where it helps keep your water clear, it does take away that waterline accumulation, and overall it removes contamination, which makes the rest of your chemicals more efficient. So it's not a product that you have to have. It's definitely a product that you want to have because it will make your pool ownership experience more pleasant and it will improve your water quality. A second good option for a water enhancer is BioGuard Optimizer. Now this is one of the most underutilized products I think we have in our whole product line because it does so many really good things for your water quality. Overall, what Optimizer does is it softens the water, so it makes it feel a lot softer on your skin, for your eyes, for your hair, all that sort of stuff. But it also makes everything else easier to maintain. So it makes water easier to balance, it makes your chlorine stay in the water a little bit more efficiently, and overall, it just makes overall pool care a little bit easier to get a hold of and prevents a lot of problems from occurring. If you have a pool that's on Optimizer next to a pool that's not on Optimizer, you'll be able to actually tell the difference in the clarity and the brilliance of the water based on just having Optimizer in there. So there's a visible difference in water clarity for this product. So whereas Pool Complete focuses on clarity and less problems, Optimizer also focuses on clarity, but it has the added addition of softer water. So it kind of depends on which one that is more appealing to you, which water enhancer you might choose to go with. Now the thing with Optimizer is it's not weekly. You add Optimizer once at the beginning of a pool season, and then you don't lose it or use it over the course of the summer unless you add fresh water to the pool. So it should last most of the season unless you end up adding a lot of fresh water for some reason. And then the next year, after you've winterized and you're opening again for the spring, you might have to put a few pounds of it back in, but you'll never have to put that large initial dose back into the pool in order to get your level where it's supposed to be. So again, adds to the softness of water, really does contribute to exceptional water clarity. You're going to like the feel of your pool better with Optimizer in it. We've talked about chlorine pools up until this point, but some of you probably have a saltwater pool. So how does all of this apply to a saltwater pool? Let's take a look at that. What's different about a pool that has salt water in it? Well, one thing to point out is that it is still a chlorine pool. You add salt to the pool, to the water, it passes through your chlorine generator cell, or your salt cell as it's commonly called, and then that salt, which contains a chlorine molecule as part of its makeup, is transformed into active chlorine. So you still have a chlorine pool, but you're putting salt in the pool as the beginning part of the equation, and you end up with active chlorine in your pool that's in there to kill bacteria and algae, and just like regular chlorine is in other pools. You just go about creating it a little bit differently. So what exactly does the salt cell do? Well, basically what it does is the salt cell has these little metal plates that are inside the actual cell itself. And when that salt molecule, which is Na and Cl, so the Cl is a chlorine molecule as part of the salt makeup, when that passes over those metal plates, we actually apply electricity to the plates. And as that electricity passes through the salt molecule, it breaks apart, releasing the chlorine molecule and allowing it to form active chlorine or hypochlorous acid. So you're actually just creating, it's like the salt cell is a chlorine manufacturing facility in your pool itself. So you're taking salt, you're breaking it apart, and you're creating active killing chlorine. Now that doesn't mean you don't need other sources of chlorine periodically. Occasional shocking in a salt pool may be necessary, and we're going to talk about some options for products that go along with salt pool here in just a minute. But just know that it's not just as simple as adding salt and forgetting about it. The unit itself, the chlorine manufacturing facility, only replaces the need for a different sanitizer. So it'll replace tabs or it'll replace sticks, but it doesn't replace the need to balance or maintain your pool or do all those other things that we recommend for regular pool maintenance. Your chlorine generator replaces step one of the three-step system, but you do still need to do some things to maintain your pool and make sure that it stays well balanced throughout the course of your summer. We have a line of products called Saltscapes that are specifically designed for your saltwater pool. These products provide the protection necessary for you to maintain your pool, keep your water crystal clear, and make sure that it's a comfortable experience for your swimmers. So using these products, in addition to adding salt to your pool, maintains that exclusive swimming experience that you wanted when you went with the saltwater pool, at the same time protecting the equipment, making sure the water stays balanced. You chose a saltwater pool for the ease and convenience, and Saltscapes will certainly help you get there. But there's even an easier option with our mineral springs system. Once you get started on mineral springs, you're really only adding one product per week. And by doing this, you get that silky, extremely clear water with a minimum amount of effort. So let's take a look at the products that are included in the Mineral Springs system. The entire Mineral Springs system is only made up of 3 products, and the middle one, Renewal, is the one that you end up adding once a week. But to start with, you have Mineral Springs Beginnings. And what Beginnings does is it adds salt to your pool, so it's going to get your salt level up where it needs to be in order for your chlorine generator to be able to run. But at the same time, it adds some extra things that will make your salt pool easier to balance and take care of. It's going to add a pH reducer, because pH always runs too high in saltwater pools. It's going to add a scale preventative product. It's going to add some borates, the same type that we find in Optimizer, so that you have nice soft water with extremely clear results after you add that in. And it's going to put Sun Shield in, or stabilizer in, to help protect the chlorine that you are generating from the harmful rays from the sun. So that's something that you would add in the very beginning to get your salt level up and get everything initially added to the pool. The third product, Stain and Scale Control, is something that you add at the beginning of every season. So you would add that once a year. You put it in one time for the whole season, and you don't have to worry about it again. So beginnings you add in the very beginning when you're getting your pool started up. Stain and Scale you add once a season. And then Renewal, the product you see in the middle, is what you would add on a weekly basis. And what Renewal does is it puts in a little bit of salt to make sure your salt level stays where it's supposed to be. But it also replenishes your pH reducer, tops up your borate levels, makes sure that your scale inhibitor is where it's supposed to be, and provides that all-around maintenance and protection for your saltwater pool. So once you get everything started, Renewal is really the only thing that you have to do weekly in order to keep the pool balanced and ready to go. So this really is the easiest of all of our pool care programs. The water is going to feel amazing for you. And for people that are busy or on the go, or they're afraid they're going to forget about their pool, this really is the best way to take care of it with the least amount of maintenance possible. Saltwater pools are an investment. You're investing in the chlorine generator that you're putting in your plumbing, and you're investing in the salt and everything that goes in the pool. So you want to make sure you get the very most you can get out of your salt pool. And again, it's not as simple as just adding salt and that's it. You want to make sure you're protecting your equipment, keeping the water clear, well balanced, and comfortable for your swimmers. So balance the pool. It doesn't hurt to oxidize the pool periodically. Sometimes you need a little extra chlorine or a little extra boost on your oxidizing, your step 2, in order to help keep that water as clear as it can possibly be. Adding stabilizer if you need to, whether it's a Saltscape stabilizer or it's blended into the Mineral Springs Beginning, will go a long way to helping your cell last longer. When you have stabilizer or cyanuric acid in the pool, you make less chlorine, or you need to make less chlorine, because your chlorine lasts longer in the water. Making less chlorine means your cell isn't running as often, and when your cell is not running as often, that means it's going to last longer. So you're helping get the most out of your investment by adding some stabilizer to the water. But utilizing Saltscapes or Mineral Springs, either one, you can use these programs to provide the most effective and most beneficial saltwater pool program for your pool. And I guarantee you'll get the most enjoyment out of the water. One final product I want to talk about is BioGuard Smart Shield. BioGuard Smart Shield is a liquid solar cover. This will replace, or at least reduce, the amount of time you need to use that bulky solar cover that you have to pull off the pool and put back on, and no one really knows what to do with it when they've pulled it off the pool. So instead of having to deal with that, you can add this product once a month, and it goes in, it helps keep the heat in the pool itself, and it also helps keep water in the pool. So as the summer gets warmer, you start to lose water to evaporation. You end up putting an inch or two of water in the pool periodically because you've lost it to evaporation. Adding Smart Shield once a month will help reduce the amount of water that you lose. So you end up putting less fresh water in, which means you don't have to balance as often, and you end up using overall less chemicals over the course of the summer. So Smart Shield replaces that bulky solar cover, helps keep your water warm, and helps keep water in your pool, making it overall just easier to maintain your pool over the course of the summer. Just a quick review. What is a pool care system? That is our system of products, our 1, 2, 3. We sanitize, we oxidize, we prevent algae. Why is it important to be on that system? Being on that system will get you on a schedule to help keep your pool clean, help keep your pool clear, and always ready for swimming. Thank you for joining us for Pool School. If you have any questions, please contact your local BioGuard dealer. They are always there to